Hello students, welcome to the lecture on business process reengineering, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand reengineering, discuss about the history and development of BPR, understand objectives of BPR, explain the 3 R's of reengineering, discuss the risk factors and barriers to process reengineering, discuss about BPR for e-services, explain business process reengineering versus business process improvement. Let's start with the introduction. In today's ever-changing world, the only thing that does not change is change itself. In a world increasingly driven by the 3 C's, customer, competition and change, companies are on the lookout for new solutions for their business problems. Recently, some of the more successful business corporations in the world seem to have hit upon an incredible solution: business process reengineering, BPR. The 2 cornerstones of any organization are the people and the processes. If individuals are motivated and working hard, yet the business processes are cumbersome and non-essential activities remain, organizational performance will be poor. Let us discuss reengineering. Reengineering is a fundamental rethinking and radical redesign of business processes to achieve dramatic improvements in critical contemporary measures of performance such as cost, quality, service and speed. The key words in the preceding definition are the italicized ones. The BPR advocates that enterprises go back to the basic and re-examine their very roots. What to reengineering? According to many in the BPR field, reengineering should focus on processes and not be limited to thinking about the organization. After all, the organization is only as effective as its processes. So, what is a process? A business process is a series of steps designed to produce a product or a service. How to re-engineer? Planning and preparation are vital factors for any activity or event to be successful, and re-engineering is no exception. Before attempting re-engineering, the question, is BPR necessary, should be asked. There should be a significant need for the process to be re-engineered. The justification of this need marks the beginning of the preparation activity. Let us now discuss the history and development of BPR. Some researchers argue that the original concept of re-engineering can be traced back to the management theories of the 19th century. As one report, the purpose of re-engineering is to make all the processes the best in class. Frederick Taylor suggested that managers use process re-engineering methods to discover the best processes for performing work, and that these processes be re-engineered to optimize productivity. In the early 1900s, Henry Fayol originated the concept of re-engineering to conduct the undertaking towards its objectives by seeking to derive optimum advantage from all available resources. Capabilities of business process. Re-engineering excellence in organizational performance depends on having effective processes, people, data and technology to respond to the changing demands and evolving challenges of the business environment. Changes in corporate structure, strategy, cost issues, available technology or customer needs routinely force business to analyze and re-engineer their fundamental processes. Let us now discuss the objectives of BPR. When applying the BPR management technique to a business organization, the implementation team effort is focused on the following objectives: customer focus. Customer service-oriented processes aiming to eliminate customer complaints. Speed, dramatic compression of the time it takes to complete a task for key business processes. For instance, if process before BPR had an average cycle time 5 hours, after BPR the average cycle time should be cut down to half an hour. Compression. Cutting major tasks of cost and capital throughout the value chain. Organizing the processes, a company develops transparency throughout the operational level, reducing cost. Flexibility, adaptive processes and structures to changing conditions and competition. quality, obsession with the superior service and value to the customers. The level of quality is always the same, controlled and monitored by the processes and does not depend mainly on the person who is servicing the customer. Innovation. Leadership through imaginative change providing to organization competitive advantage. Productivity. Improve drastically effectiveness and efficiency. Methodology of a BPR project. Implementation or alternative techniques. The BPR is worldwide applicable technique of business restructuring focusing on business processes, providing vast improvements in a short period of time. The technique implements organizational change based on the close coordination of a methodology for rapid change, employee empowerment, and training and support by information technology. All methodologies could be divided in general model stages. The Envision stage. The company reviews the existing strategy and business processes, and based on that review, business processes for improvement are targeted and IT opportunities are identified. The initiation stage. Project teams are assigned performance goals, project planning and employee notification are set. The diagnosis stage. Documentation of processes and sub-processes takes place in terms of process attributes, activities, resources, communication, roles, IT and cost. The redesign stage. New process design is developed by devising process design alternatives and through brainstorming and creativity techniques. The reconstruction stage. Management technique changes occur to ensure smooth migration to the new process responsibilities and human resource roles. The evaluation stage. The new process is monitored to determine if goals are met and examine total quality programs. Types of firms organization that a BPR can be applied. The BPR could be implemented to all firms, manufacturing firms, retailers, services, etc., and public organization that satisfy the following criteria. Minimum number of employees, 20, at least 4 in management position, strong management commitment to new ways of working and innovation, well-formed IT infrastructure. Business process reengineering could be applied to companies that confront problems such as high operational cost, low quality offered to customers, high level of bottleneck processes at peak season, poor performance of middle levels managers, inappropriate distribution of resources and jobs in order to achieve maximum performance, etc. Let us now discuss the 3 R's of reengineering. The BPR is achieving dramatic performance improvements through radical change in organizational processes, re-architecting of business and management processes. It involves the redrawing of organizational boundaries, the reconsideration of jobs, tasks and skills. Redesign, retooling and reorchestral form the key components of BPR that are essential for an organization to focus on the outcome that it needs to achieve. Now let us discuss the risk factors and barriers to process reengineering. The role of reengineering business processes has been underscored by the high-powered Narsimhan on restructuring of Indian banks and also by the Vasudevan Committee on Technology Issues. The Narsimhan Committee has recommended that the initiatives for technology upgradation should be taken up along with re-engineering of business processes. The Vasudevan Committee has further suggested that the process re-engineering initiatives should be monitored by the chairman of the bank and there should be close coordination among bank, RBI and IBA for implementing process re-engineering in banks. Process re-engineering initiatives are undertaken with a view to achieving drastic improvements in the business process results. These risks are as financial risk. The BBR projects are undertaken with a view to getting high returns on investment. Technical risk. The BPR projects are based on the use of information technology. General project risk. The organization taking up process re-engineering process may not have the competence to implement the solution it is seeking, or the BPR team which is entrusted with the project may not perform to the desired level. Functional risk. Process re-engineering may need a reorganizational plan which may not be applicable to the kind of business in which the organization is engaged. Political risk. Very often, the BPR initiative loses the support and commitment of the top management either due to change in leadership or due to change in perception. Barriers to process reengineering. Every organization that undertakes process reengineering experiences barriers at each stage of process reengineering. The transaction barriers are conceptual barriers. The first and foremost barrier to process reengineering refers to the conceptual clarity about the project. Organizational resistance. The earlier two barriers, that is conceptual clarity and compelling business case, relate to the top management. Outsourcing. One of the tactics used to overcome organizational resistance is to outsource the product or service to an external source. Development of human resources. The organizational resistance to process reengineering can be effectively overcome through HR initiatives. The HR initiatives can also facilitate organizational transformation. Customer acceptance. Although organizational and financial barriers can overcome, the ultimate test of process reengineering rests with acceptance by customers for whom these initiatives are meant. Legal and regulatory barriers. The process reengineering efforts may face legal or regulatory barriers such as telecommunication restriction, privacy acts, etc. Technical barriers. The BPR projects are based on technical solution and technical breakthrough is necessary to achieve results. The technical shortcomings can stop such project completely. A careful monitoring of technology, planning and forecasting is necessary for the success of transformation programs. Let us now talk about BPR for e-services. The area of e-business is very broad and many definitions exist. The term e-commerce EC for activities related to marketing, buying and selling of products and services on the internet, and to focus explicitly on e-sales. Selling via the internet to consumer B2C or to other companies B2B. The EC initiatives are well known for the delivery of both physical goods and services. This part of business is traditionally underexposed in literature, although it offers much more potential for EC initiatives than the manufacturing environment. When a conventional process is being transformed into an EC process, then clearly there is a momentum of change. Web servers have to be installed, web pages generated, etc. This momentum is ideal to consider BPR. No additional work is required to understand the process, and changes from both the EC and BPR perspectives could be combined. Truly integrating the efforts to, on the one hand, enables a process to support EC and on the other hand to re-engineer it is just one of the possible scenarios. The 13 BPR best practices for e-services. Tasks best practices. It focuses on optimizing single tasks within a business process. Two of them are of special interest. Task elimination, task automation. Routing best practices. This tries to improve upon the routing structure of the business process. The most effective of these in an EC context. Knocked out, control relocation, parallelism, allocation best practice. This involves a particular allocation of resources to activities. One in particular is especially promising in relation to EC. Case manager, resource best practices. It focuses on the types and availability of resources. In an EC context, the following resource best practice should be considered. Empower. Best practices for external parties. This type of best practices tries to improve upon the collaboration and communication with the client and third parties. The most promising are outsourcing, contact reduction, buffering, trusted party, integral process best practices. This type of best practices applies to the business process as a whole. Especially these are of importance in relation to EC. Case types, case-based work. BPR in e-businesses and e-commerce. The two concepts e-business and e-commerce are often mixed up. E-business can be understood as the ability of a firm to electronically connect in multiple ways, many organizations both internally and externally for many different purposes. This rather broad definition is further refined. E-business covers the application of internet technology, internet, intranet, extranet in all aspects of the business world. Another frequently used definition of EC distinguishes four perspective. Communication perspective. The EC is the delivery of information, products or services or payments over telephone lines, computer networks or any other electronic means. Business process perspective. The EC is the application of technology towards the automation of business transaction and workflows. Service perspective. The EC is a tool that addresses the desire of firms, consumers and management to cut service costs while improving the quality of goods and increasing the speed of service delivery. And online perspective. The EC provides the capacity to buy and sell products and information on the internet as well as other online services. The use of BPR for e-services. It seems indisputable that the constraints on an e-business process are different from those on a conventional process. For example, consider the 24 hours, 7 days availability that is almost a standard requirement for an EC process. The claim is that many known BPR practices to improve a process may use to make an EC process better aligned to such new constraints. Truly integrating the efforts to enable a process to support EC and reengineering is, however, just one of the possible scenarios that can be found in practice. The 3 scenarios. A business process is first enabled for EC, subsequently used for some time and finally re-engineered. A business process is first re-engineered with respect to future EC, subsequently used for some time and finally enabled for EC. Re-engineering and EC enabling are integrated in one effort. The purpose of both business process re-engineering BPR and business process improvement BPI is to make business process efficient, effective and flexible. The BPI is an incremental approach of process improvement, while BPR is used to dramatically improve business performance through customer service improvement, defect reduction and resource minimization. Process improvement trust. By defining, identifying and analyzing the potential causes of a problem, organization can make the necessary commitment for processes restructured. The purpose of process improvement trust is to eliminate waste, scrap, rework, returned goods and other redundant activities to improve process effectiveness and dramatically reduce the cost of quality deficiencies. Customer focus. This main aim of BPR is to meet and often exceed a customer's expectation in products and services. Since customers' expectation and demands are dramatic, organizations are required to keep track of customer complaints and the causes of their dissatisfaction and subsequently correct the root causes of customer dissatisfaction so they can provide innovative products and services. Moderator variables. Industry type and information intensity of the industry are 2 moderator variables included in the study. Industry type at firm divisional level is categorized into service and manufacturing division. Information intensity of the industry is determined as information intensity of the industry is defined as the extent to which products and services of the divisions are dependent on information. Data integration and process improvement trust. By recognizing the interdependence of multiple units within the same function, central management often enforces standards on data definitions and data coding to coordinate activities for higher performance. As introduction of a shared access database often introduces new ways of working as many sequential processes can be handled in parallel. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. The globalization of the economy and the liberalization of the trade markets have formulated new conditions in the marketplace which are characterized by instability and intensive competition in the business environment. Business processes are characterized by 3 elements: the inputs, the processing of the data or materials, and the outcome. Planning and preparation are vital factors for any activity or event to be successful, and reengineering is no exception. The impact of the environmental changes that serve as the impetus for the reengineering effort must also be considered in establishing guidelines for the reengineering project. The concept of BPR is widely regarded as having been introduced as a perceived solution to the economic crisis and the recession of the late 1980s and early 1990s. When BPR is carried out in the context of EC, the first scenario is probably the one that is most frequently encountered in practice.